Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of American Gothic. Oh boy, this episode was super good. We finally get kind of like the whole picture about the whole situation. You have Garrett telling Brady, at the same time you have Madeline telling the kids, and it's just like finally getting everything revealed. It was very interesting how it was told, like, because we actually got an opportunity to really see the kids when they were younger. We got to see, Allison and Tom, the whole political side of, see where that political aspect of them started. We saw Cam and kind of his drug use and everything, but never mind. A lot of stuff you kind of already pieced together, or already brought up and everything. It's just yes, things didn't, it's like things were already there, but we got even more details. It's like you already figured it out before, but it's like now we're giving you the fuller picture. Because it's like Garrett didn't initially kill SBK. SBK was initially, quote unquote, killed by Tess, by her pushing him down the steps, and it's like, oh, he's dead. And in a moment, I was like, oh, then why was Garrett covered in blood talking about, oh, he tried to kill me? I was like, oh, maybe that's something else. I was like, maybe, and then it happened. It's like, oh, Garrett's digging a hole, and it's like he wasn't dead, he was just knocked out, and then Garrett, ended up killing him. He had to fight him in self-defense. I mean, it was like, I knew that was the case. I was like, okay, Garrett killed him. I mean, granted, it was just I knew that was the end result, but there was an extra step in there. You didn't know. But, oh my God, the reasoning behind everything is, I love it because it's the craziest reasoning, because it's like, I knew that was going to end up being the reason. Basically, it's like, oh yeah, don't do it. Don't report this because it's basically going to draw a lot of attention to our family. I knew that was going to be the case, but it's like, oh yeah, but don't forget about what it might do to Tess. She's young, and just the thought that she killed somebody, and the fact is it was a serial killer that could have killed her, yada, yada, yada. I was like, the moment they were saying all that, I was like, okay, yeah, but the first reason is the main reason for doing it. I mean, because when this episode we learned the fact of the matter is there was a lot more to the Hawthorne business, that they did a lot of stuff they weren't supposed to do. Because I already knew from the beginning, I started piecing together, I was like, the biggest reason is because this is connected to all, they didn't want someone delving into, them too heavily. That was kind of my thinking at first. It's like, okay, if they end up reporting the whole SBK thing, and then people come there, investigate it, then they'll start looking into the family a little bit more and find out about some of their shady dealings. Because we kind of learned about it throughout the season so far, how when it comes to some of the construction, they cut corners, they paid off people, shady stuff like that. So I was kind of figuring, oh, they were worried about that getting kind of brought up. But it's like, no, there's a different something else to it as well. It's because basically what ends up coming out is like, oh yeah, apparently Mitchell used this as an opportunity with SBK dealt with. It's like, oh, I'm gonna use this opportunity to kill David Morales because he found out about their shady business deals. Because essentially, basically Mitchell took money from his employees, basically from their 401ks or whatever, and was basically using that money to get in, contacts with other businesses, kind of making major deals that benefit everyone, but at the same time he's still stealing from his company's employees. I was thinking embezzling, but I guess fraud is the better term. I mean, guess technically fraud and embezzling kind of tend to go hand in hand, but nevertheless, David Morales has figured it out because Allison had accidentally handed over some paperwork to kind of show this. So it's like, okay, now Dad killed David Morales to cover that up. And it's like he did it under disguise of oh, SBK struck again and killed him. And David Morales because I never caught Christina's last name. I knew her dad was one of the victims, but I never paid attention to which particular victim. And it turns out that he was this particular victim, right? Or is that something, or was he? I'm pretty sure they were saying it like he was Christina's dad. So nevertheless, maybe he's not. Maybe I completely got it wrong. But nevertheless, moving on. And it's just man, that's what really started the argument between him and Garrett, and that's what kind of pushed Garrett to kind of just be like, no, I got to get away from this. I mean, because Garrett wanted to tell the truth from the beginning, but it basically used the whole oh no, you can't, think about Tess, do what's right for the family. And then when, Garrett told his mom about it, it's like, oh, what Dad did, he killed David Morales. He made it look like it was SBK, but we know SBK is dead. And he's like, I'm going to call the cops. And Madeline's, oh, you can't. He's like, wait, what? She's like, you can't you can't do that. Your dad will go to jail or ruin this family. He's like, it doesn't matter. He's a killer. And then she turns on him and is like, but you're a killer too. He's like, no, I killed him out of self-defense. She's like, no, but you drove somewhere. You went out of your way to dispose of the body. So some people might interpret that as you being his accomplice in this whole thing. And it's like, wow, thanks a lot, Mom. Why I was like, do you defend your husband so vigorously like that? And I love it the entire episode. She's like, oh my God, Mitchell was a monster. He did this and this, that. And it's like, oh yeah, we end up finding out apparently Mitchell's not the monster Madeline makes him out to be, because the truth be told is everything was her freaking idea. I was like, why? That's why she was so manipulative. I was so curious. I was like, why did she cover up so much? Like, what? Like, if it's all covering up what Mitchell did, like, why was she so adamant about killing him when he wanted to come out with, he's like, no, it's time to tell the truth. It's like, no, because none of it was his idea. It was initially her idea, because it's like, oh, we got to get rid of David Morales. And then even he was kind of like, wait, what? She's like, you basically put this family in a situation, do what's right by them. It's like, to her, like, she's always sitting here saying, like, oh, everything was done for the sake of the family. It was protecting the family. It's like, oh, you kids were younger at the time. Me, your dad, and Garrett could have gotten arrested, but, you know, you needed your family. That's why we covered this all up. It's like, no, Madeline didn't want to sacrifice the life she had. Like, say, like, all this came out and the business ended up going under and Mitchell went to jail because of what he's done, all his shady business deals. It's like, no, like, the family still would have survived. They still would have been together. Yes, it would have ruined them, but in name only. And it would have been like, she would have lost her status, she would have lost all that money, and that's what it came down to. It's like, when you think about it, that's all she really cares about. And it's kind of interesting when you look back on it. It's like, you judged your mom for taking that deal. It's like, oh, you can be in your grandchildren's lives, or you can have this me continuing the payments, or actually I double it. And she was kind of teary-eyed about it. It's like, but it's kind of understandable. Like, holy crap, you were just like your mom. Like, I'm sure she will come up with some other justification, but that's currently what's in my mind. I'm like, you're doing this all for that reason. You're pretending it's for your family, but really at the end of the day, it's all for you. And then when it came to the actual act of killing David Morales, it's like they got it framed so it looks like, okay, it's like, oh yeah, Mitchell did. It's like Mitchell started to do it, but he couldn't go through with it. And then you have Madeline coming and doing it herself, and just doing it pretty easily too. It didn't seem like she was bothered at all killing him. Like, even like when it came to Garrett killing SBK, even though it was out of self-defense, even he was like just heartbroken about it. I mean, in that situation, it was kill or be killed, and it's just like, holy crap. Like, I mean, she literally put her son in danger because she's the one that pushed all that. Like, he wouldn't have been in a situation for SBK to have tried to kill him if they had not done that. And it's like, she's sitting up here pretending like, oh, Mitchell's such a monster. Like, his only crime was going along with what his wife said. Like, she's the mastermind behind all of this. Like, the danger the family is in now, because I figured it out. Like I said it last episode, like, and they acknowledge it, that the bails had to be by SBK's accomplice, because the accomplice knows that they had something to deal with SBK dying. Because when when Cam pulled up with his friend that he was buying drugs from in front of the house, at that point the car that SBK had showed up and drove away. So we still didn't get a look at the accomplice. We got a little look at SBK himself. I mean, granted, Brady was like, okay, told Gary, it's like, you're the only one that's seen SBK's face, so we need to find the accomplice. So you're kind of our biggest witness. So we still don't know exactly who SBK is. Maybe next episode we even get to really find out his motive for doing what he's done. And I'm very curious to find out who this accomplice is. I mean, like, I won't lie to you, there's a part of my brain that was thinking like the entire time Garrett's telling Brady this story, I'm like, what if we end up finding out that Brady's actually SBK's accomplice or something? I don't know. Like, it popped in the back of my mind. It was just something I was thinking really quickly. I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to go that route. I was like, it'd be kind of a twist if that did go down. Because I never even thought that, like, oh, maybe Brady's been playing everyone from the beginning and he's actually SBK's accomplice. You never know. I mean, like I said, SBK's accomplice still hasn't been shown. So, but to me, it's just like everything, like, she's put her entire family in danger. She's so manipulative. Like, all the lies she's been telling people, the way she's like I said, brought up like how she manipulated Garrett earlier. Just like everything. And like I said, it also explains why she killed Mitchell, because it's not covering up what Mitchell did. She's covering up what she's done. It's like she didn't want to go to jail. Like, Like it's all about her, and it's just like, wow. It's like, I hope they find out the truth when this is all said and done. It's like she cannot get away with this scot free. I hope like they're able to tie some evidence back to saying like, oh no, it wasn't actually Mitchell who did all this. It was actually her. I mean, because none of the evidence points to her, because she pretends like, oh, I'm the wife that didn't know anything and just kind of got dragged into the situation. I was trying to protect my family. It's like, no, you're the mastermind. You talked your husband into doing this. Yes, he's at fault for having poor judgment, but he never actually did anything. Yes, he tried to kill David Morales, but he didn't actually go through with it. But like I said, she did it, and she did it so effortlessly. It's like, and done. Okay, let's. And it's like, you have the nerve to cry about killing him. Like, let's go back to that. I said it at the very beginning. It's like you have the audacity to look around your bathroom while you're taking a bath and cry because your husband's dead. It's like, you killed him. And it's not just her that knows it, because we also find that, because Garrett, when he was in the hospital after Christina stabbed him, he was like, Mom, because he figured out, it's like, you killed Dad. And it's because even Garrett doesn't know the fact is that it was all Mom's idea. He still thinks it was their dad's idea, but it's like, oh, she can't get away with this. That's a real reason for like, oh no, we should pin it all on Dad and, on Mitchell, just because it's like, I thought it would be done with, but it's like now her greed and evil has come back to haunt her and her family, which I bet you at this point, it's not even about protecting her family. It's about protecting herself, making sure she doesn't die. But it's just like, she's so evil. Like, I knew you were manipulative. I knew you were covering up a secret, but I thought at the bottom of my heart, I thought as the series progressed, I was like, okay, it's for the sake of your family. I'm sure you got twisted reasons, but it's kind of like, no, it's all for the sake of your family. It's like, now it's like, you don't give a damn about your family, as all you care about yourself. And it's so good, because I love, like, basically her character was already taking a turn for you, like, from the very beginning. The fact that she literally kills Mitchell at the end of the first episode, it's kind of like her character already took a turn. Then all the constant lies and everything, but at the same time, like I said, you make it seem like, okay, there's redeeming aspects to her because she's doing this for the right reason. And it's like, nope. She continues to manipulate and kill people. She's killed 2 people already, just for her own selfishness. And it's so good. I'm just astounded. Like, that twist, I didn't see that coming. I was like, that was so good. Because at first I was like, okay, oh wait, she's there with Mitchell? Does that mean she's the one that killed it? It's like, oh no, she didn't, because Mitchell was stringing. I was like, never mind. And it's like, no. Yep, there she goes. She's doing it because Mitchell couldn't do it. It's so good. I looked it up before I started recording this, and because I was pretty sure this is like a 13-parter, because I remember him saying that. But when I was looking at the list of episodes, it only has 12. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to take a little break before they air the finale or something. Not unless they make the decision of like, oh, we're actually going to make it like a 2-part back to back. I'd like it if they did it like that, but they most likely won't. Since it's like that, it makes me think there might be a break in between the 12th and 13th episode. I don't know, maybe not. I just have to wait and see. But it's just like, I'm so curious to see how this all ends and how it plays out. I really like that dollhouse thing where it's just basically little figures of everyone in the family, like, in different places throughout the house with their like throats slit. I thought that was kind of like a nice message. It's like, how did they sneak into the house to do that? Like, at what point did they do that and have the time to put all those bales and Madeline's bag? Because that makes you also wonder many things too. SPK must work for some alarm company or something, because he was able, the moment he went in there, he turned off their alarm immediately. So that's the only thing I can interpret as. Maybe the accomplices kind of in the same line of work, the way they were able to sneak into the house like that, even though they've all been in the house like for quite a bit of time. So makes you wonder at what. I mean, it doesn't seem like at any point in time Madeline left the house, but I mean, it seemed like she was in the house the entire last episode, right? I mean, maybe maybe it's one of those things that's kind of like we didn't see her leave the house, but there was a point where she left the house, or maybe it's just like SBK's accomplice was really good about getting in and out. So I don't know. But the fact of the matter, what makes you wonder is like why SBK chose that family to begin with. I mean, the current theory was like, SBK comes from like a rich family and holds resentment towards the rich as a possibility, or, whether SBK's from a rich family or not, or from a middle class family or a lower class family, it's just like SBK holds resentment for higher class wealthy families. That's why he chooses the victims he's chosen. So I don't know, like really, really good episode, and I cannot wait for more. A side note thing I'm going to tag on at the end of this episode. It's not important whatsoever, but it's just something I recently discovered. I recently found out that the actor who plays Brady, his name's Elliot Knight. He's actually a British actor. Had no idea. I was like surprised, and the reason why I found this out because I'm trying to catch up with Once Upon a Time because I got a little far behind, and it's like he is in season 5 because he portrays Merlin. I was like, wait a minute. I heard him talking. I was like, you have a British actor? You're what? I looked it up online. I was like, dude, that's crazy. I was like, no way. Don't tell me you were faking an accent. It's like, no, you weren't. You are a British actor. Then I, got curious. I was like, who else in the cast is like that? Now, Anthony Starr, I already knew. Like, I knew he was like not an American actor because like I heard him talk like during like the final episode of Banshee. They were like, the cast was talking, and I heard him talk for a little bit. I was like, oh, that's not an American accent. I was like, dude, I had no idea. I couldn't place it at the time because I hadn't like heard him talk for a long period of time. But I ended up looking it up later on. He's a New Zealand actor, which is pretty cool. But then I also found out that the actress Juliet Rayletts, she's the actress who plays Allison. She's also a British actress as well. I think both her and Elliot are from London, if I remember correct. It's not important. It's one of those things that it always stands out to me. I just think that's one of the coolest things because it's like, to me, you're doing an American accent. You literally took classes and just, it shows how good you are at acting because you're able to change the very way you've spoken for most of your life. It's like, yeah, and now change it to like a different way, like the way you have to say words, you have to enunciate things differently. It's just fascinated me. I know this was not necessary. It doesn't pertain to the I mean, it does to a certain extent pertain to the show, but nevertheless, I just found that fascinating. It was really cool. So just something I wanted to tack on at the end of the episode. But that's really everything I wanted to talk about. Like I said, cannot wait for next week's episode. This is so good. I love big reveals, and then to me, all these reveals were well worth the wait. So, but till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.